Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hello there. Hello, good morning.
Good
Today
morning, good
I'm
afternoon, good evening, actually.
good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all the people who are listening in different times of the day. I am today not in my office, I'm somewhere else, and it's beautiful energy and everything is amazing. So first of all, can you tell me how can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you well. Yes,
Okay,
it's
amazing.
okay.
So now I would like to say hello. Hello to you, Raquel,
Hello, Matt.
and hello to all the listeners who are listening us today. Today in Power Pass, we will be speaking about ghosts. Ghosts that are hunting you as a hero. And what do we understand by ghosts? By ghosts, we understand spirits, energies, but not only. By ghosts, we understand also the ancestral traumas, the ancestral energies, and all the kinds of influences that point us back to ourselves, that point us back to discover who we are, how powerful we are, and that show us that we shouldn't separate ourselves from the truth of who we truly are. So welcome, and I give you voice, Raquel. The
hmm
stage is yours.
Okay. Okay, so I was thinking to bring this subject today because, of course, it's always about um, the own belief system that you have. And it's quite interesting because obviously we have people that they really look to the importance of the ancestrality and the traumas that affected the ancestors. They can carry on through the lineage until themselves. And of course, other people they they really see it as something more spiritual. And I think in both points of view, we are just talking about the same. We have a different conception, okay, but we are talking about the same. And these ghosts, how we can understand these ghosts? I think it's quite important that first you identify the kind of fear that even sometimes it's not logic for you. I can give you my own example. My own example, it's about a fear that I had. That it was about um, a concern if I would die alone and no one would find me by the right time. So I would be found too late and I
Mm,
would die alone. And this can look something very weird, let's say.
mhm,
However, it was something that through work, okay, I could understand what was going on with me, why this fear was coming to me. And the reason is just about one of my ancestors. One
mm,
of my ancestors, she passed away, and even nowadays, we don't know how she passed away, when, because she was found 7 years after she had disappeared, okay, and they
mm,
just found the skeleton, and the
mm,
body was recognized by the earrings,
mhm.
okay. And of course, if I didn't do the work to understand what was this fear, I would never understand that it was connected with this my great mother. I never met her,
Mhm.
okay, never. Because even when she passed away, well, we don't know, but my mom was a child. So
Yes.
um, I didn't meet her. And many times what happens is exactly people that, for example, they feel that they procrastinate. Many
Mm,
times this procrastination, it's exactly linked to this kind of energy that it was stopped in a previous time by an ancestor. So, for instance, when you have some kind of sentence that it's like you understand that there is something that it carries on in your mind. It's a fear that even it's not logical. You have exactly to ask few questions. Go to your family and start to ask to yourself, who died when was a child? Who had an abortion? Who committed suicide? Who died from pneumonia?
All kinds of
Who
traumatic death. Yeah.
exactly? Because when you start to understand the kind of traumas that happened to your ancestors, also you can identify the kind of energy that is with you. Okay? So this is something, because if you have even doubts about the spiritual life, you can always understand one thing. The information that your ancestor had is the same that you have. There are some DNA that it's the same. So you carry the same information. This means what? The same kind of shadows are shared. The same kind of struggles are shared. So when you look to this kind of story in your life, you can really start to rescue them. These are parts of you that need to be rescued. So this is the reason, because I'm bringing here today this subject, because I believe that it's quite important people also to look behind them and try to see that there is nothing that just appears in our life without a reason.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing.
This is what happens very often when I work with my clients, when we anthropomorphize this kind of fears. So when a person finds themselves hearing thoughts that are not theirs, hearing thoughts that are generating fear, and having this kind of intrusive way of thinking constantly, oh, I will be alone, or I will die, or I'm afraid something bad will happen, or something like this. And these thoughts are generating negative emotions instantly. They are generating a fear response. And so during this session, I ask which aspect is generating this fear, and very often it's like it's not coming from me, it is coming from somewhere outside. So while connecting with this outside, we can see a being, an energy, an entity in people's imagination that they can then relate and see, okay, so this is when it happened, this is what triggered it, and this is what happens. And everything serves us to bring us back to ourselves, to bring us back to the understanding that I am not this energy, I am not this thoughts, I am not this fear, I am the pure being of light. And by understanding it and consciously remembering it, we are starting to connect and remind ourselves that we are one with the love, with the health, with the abundance, with everything that is there for us. So why the fears are very often so difficult for us to deal with?
Well, the fears are difficult because even our physical way of answering to a fear, it's programmed in our brain. So this is something that we cannot escape. And the thing is always about what kind of fear you have. Because look, one thing, it's quite interesting that, for example, you have a fear of death that usually people, they don't even notice it. Okay, so many times what they think is, for example, that they have to keep themselves busy, that they have to
Mm,
take risks, exactly to avoid to look inside of themselves.
mm,
Okay, or instead they can um, try to live a life that is full of glamour, but is exactly to avoid this fear, because it's like they believe that the success it's in the future. So if they put the success in the future, they don't have to deal with the unexpected. They don't have to deal with the fear of death, because the fear of death is something that really shakes your basis about the unexpected.
mm.
Okay, and this is something that you really start to have to understand, the kind of fear that you have, what is behind. Every time that there is something that is affecting your life, okay, and even, for example, what happens the most part of the times is that people, they feel shame about some kind of fears, because they think that it's ridiculous, it doesn't make sense, and if the others notice what they are doing, what they are going to say. And the reality is, how are you living your life? Because if you are feeling disturbed about your kind of fear, it's better to go and heal it.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, you are enslaved of this fear. And then, even, where is the juice of your life?
exactly. In my work, I started to work with hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and connected it with spirituality. And the first ideas of my work was that sometimes when people dies, the soul, the consciousness is being separated from the body. And if the person doesn't know that they died, or their beliefs are creating fear and not allowing them to go on the other side, they are
Mm-hmm.
still staying here in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
They want to leave, but they are not being seen by other people. They cannot
Mm-hmm.
communicate. Very often there are people who have mediumic abilities, so they
Mm-hmm.
can interact with them. But it's not a lot of people who acknowledge this kind of abilities in
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And so what the spirits are doing, the spirits are finding another person with a similar
Mm-hmm.
energy to theirs, and they attach themselves to this
Mm-hmm.
person. And then they are generating thoughts or feelings in those people in order to feed on them, in order to have energy to
Mm-hmm.
be able to sustain their existence, their consciousness here in this very dense frequency. And so, uh, when I work with people, the first thing that I'm checking is if there is a person and connected to the body of my client, to the
Mm-hmm.
consciousness or to the energetical fields of this
Mm-hmm.
person, because very often it happened that the whole issue, the whole problem was generated from an external source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, it wasn't coincidental. The person, the client, had a very underlying thing or a thought or a belief or
Mm-hmm.
something
Yeah.
that was opening the door for the
Mm-hmm.
entity, being, or spirit to connect themselves to
Exactly.
them.
Yeah, because in the
Yeah,
moment that, oh, sorry, the moment that
yeah.
you drop your energy, yeah, if you are going down, if you are going low, you exactly attune with the things that are in a frequency that is lower.
Hmm.
If you are higher,
Yeah.
you just attune in a frequency that is higher. And this is what explains exactly what you are talking. So carry on. Sorry, my Matt.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Very often it happens that we have a lot of invasive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fear, something that is coming out of the blue. We never thought about it earlier. We never connected with it earlier, but it showed up. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I started to have this kind of thoughts. And then you're asking yourself, is it coming from me? Is it mine? Why am I so afraid of it? And very often it is not. It obviously it is pointing on something that you have inside, that there was some window or
Mm-hmm.
some door that will open with this issue, yet it's not necessarily coming through you.
Mm-hmm.
However, it always serves you. It always
Yes.
serves you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because
So
yes,
yeah,
sorry.
I just wanted to ask you, how can we recognize in easier way? Because I know in myself intuitively, I know what is coming
Mm-hmm.
from me and what is coming not from me. But people who are not
Mm-hmm.
intuitive or don't believe in it, how they can recognize that there's
Mm-hmm.
something on that is not necessarily theirs?
Okay. So I think it's quite important here to make a distinction between different kind of entities that can attach to us. So
Mm.
we have a kind of entity that doesn't know us from nowhere. Okay, they
Yes.
don't have nothing against us. However, as you said, so they need to be fed, and you open the frequency with an emotion, and in this way they attach to you. So when you have this kind of entity attached to you, usually you can feel very tired. You don't feel willing to do nothing. Even many times you have like a burden here on your back
Mm.
in this area. So it's very common, these kind of symptoms. Then there is another kind of attachment that maybe it's more popular, that it's called the obsessor spirit. Okay. And
Mm.
this one is the one that knows you
Mm.
from this life, from another life. And it's not very difficult to imagine, because look, one thing, if, for example, you have an argument few years ago with someone that really start to hate you, when this person passes away, even his hate attach him
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so if, for example, you get very upset and you lower your vibration and you feel hate about someone else here, he will find you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and usually the symptoms are more heavy. So it's more about these intrusive thoughts that
Yeah.
you mentioned, for instance. um, it's like nothing goes well,
Mm.
everything goes wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to understand, okay, my life is not moving, and I don't
Yeah.
know why. Yeah, so these are the kind of situations that can be caused by this kind of attachments.
Mm.
And it's quite important also that people that they 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 don't fear that, because you work in this way, I work in another way, but it's possible exactly to clean, because in the moment that you start to remove the information that is creating this emotion, they don't have exactly a reason to attach to you, and they can go. So it's really important that you don't fear that, because you don't fear Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is energy. So if
Yeah.
you don't fear Wi-Fi, that's it.
Why
No
to fear
reason.
consciousness? Yeah.
Yes, because it's energy again, that it was not resolved by the time that had the chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to do it, because even, for example, as I mentioned to you, in the case of the person that passed away and was hating you, this person, even, for example, needs that you forgive him, yeah,
Mm.
and at the same time also can help you to develop yourself in the moment that you start to understand that, okay, can be a good idea to just go further with people and don't hate them. And even you start to understand, what am I doing to myself? Because it's not about the hate that you just caused in the other, it's about the hate that is still inside of you,
Mm.
because it's there. And I'm not saying that, okay, let's go try to eliminate, to vanish all the hate and all these things. Easy, because our emotions very basic, and when we are facing a struggle, a fight, the emotions come up. It's
Yeah.
natural. But if we don't acknowledge them, this is the issue.
Yeah,
This is what is going to haunting you. It's not
exactly.
exactly the, no, let's go put under the carpet. No, under the carpet, it's when gives you issues.
They don't disappear when they are put in under the carpet. They are
No, no,
still
they
there.
just grow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is how what you're saying exactly. Very often it happens that there's some kind of a negative energy, hatred, fear, sorrow, grief that are keeping this kind of energies down here on
Mm-hmm.
this planet, and they are attaching themselves to other people, and they want to generate the same energy, the
Mm-hmm.
same emotion, the same feeling, because they are resonating in the same
Mm-hmm.
frequency. Therefore, acknowledging it and saying, "Okay, I forgive you. I love you. I bless you. I forgive all your sins. Whatever is
Mm-hmm.
necessary. You send love. You send light. You do whatever it is necessary for you to fully feel in your heart that you forgave, that you understand that you're not a victim,
Mm-hmm.
that you are serving a purpose, and that you are being of light and love." And so, when the feelings are acknowledged and when the feelings are forgiven, when the feelings are released, then we are rising our frequency, and
Mm-hmm.
then we are becoming resonating on a higher level, on a different frequency, that we are not visible anymore for this kind of
Mm-hmm.
entities. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know one thing that it's quite important. It's about the forgiveness and regret.
Mm.
Because if you don't explore the forgiveness and regret, it's very hard to find the love.
Mm.
Okay, and the forgiveness is not just about the other; it's about yourself as well, because you
Yeah.
were the one who created the hate.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's the regret that, for example, it's your regret about what you did. Okay, because this is exactly also to empowering you. Okay, yes,
Mm.
I had these emotions and I caused this.
Yeah.
And this empowers you in a way that you stop with the self-pity. You come out of the field of the victimization, because it's very easy for people say, oh yes, I'm under this and they did that to me. It's very easy. The
Yeah. Yeah.
difficulty is exactly to understand what we did, that we made the things to drop our emotions, to drop our vibration. Because remember one thing, our emotions are the things that vibrate in us. And it's easy to understand. If you love, your body vibrates. If you hate, your body vibrates. So these are two
Mm.
emotions, just as an example, for people to understand how the emotions exactly attract the things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So these emotions, they have a different frequency. The song,
Yeah.
it's different, let's say.
Exactly.
And in this meaning, when you really have the notion that you can exactly change your vibration, you really can change your life. And then you
Yeah.
don't have to fear any spiritual entity. You don't have to fear any energy. Even you don't have to fear your shadows.
Exactly. Because you vibrate so high that everything that must be
Mm-hmm.
resolved, it's instantly being released and resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Exactly.
Amazing. We are getting to the end of our time for today.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you have any kind of questions, if you like to know more, or if you would like to check if you have any entities or being connected to you, feel free to contact us. All the informations are in the descriptions of the movies and the podcasts. And also, if you want to hear us speaking about the certain topics and you're curious how can you expand and grow your consciousness, feel free to contact us. And so, any kind of words for today to sum up today?
Mm, for me, I'm okay.
And from
I
me
think I'm
is
okay.
okay. So from me is just vibrate higher, rise your frequency, focus on the love that you are, and then you will become totally invisible to any kind of negative energies, thoughts, feelings that want to bring you down. So yeah, blessings to you all. Thank you for today.
Blessings.
And see you next week.
See you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.